Hi, in this video, we're going to take a look at the robustness of Bayesian statistics. Okay, so remember that in Bayesian statistics, I have my belief that I come to the problem a priori before I see my data, and that defines my prior distribution. Then I'm going to get my hands on my data, and I'm going to combine that using the likelihood function to get the posterior distribution. All right, so an advantage of this approach is that we can set things up to be robust. With that prior, I can have some control over how much influence my prior has over the end result or how little it has. And that enables us to have more robust techniques than other methods. And so this is a good example of why we should consider Bayesian statistics for many problems in statistics. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to go over 3.4 from Jim Albert's Bayesian computations with R. Here is his website, and here is the page on Amazon if you want to buy the book. It's also available through Springer Link. If you, University of Central Florida students can download the book for free. All right, so let's get down to the section. All right, so we might have an incomplete prior information about the parameter that we're interested in the sense that what I understand and believe about the parameter might not be enough to fully define a probability density. And so there might be a number of different distributions, prior densities that match my given information. Okay, well, for example, let's say I believe a priori that the median of a parameter is 30 and its 80th percentile is 50. Well, really, there's infinitely many distributions that will satisfy that criteria. So, with the many prior probability distributions that can be chosen, we have to, make a choice and go forward. So, a reasonable concern is, well, how will my choice impact the results? All right, so first and foremost, I would recommend that you use a conjugate prior if you have that option, or just use a well-known distribution family that your stakeholders and your peers and coworkers would definitely like recognize and be comfortable with. But still, there's going to be multiple options, multiple choices. How much of an impact will my choice have? All right, so in this situation where different priors are possible, it's desirable that inferences from the posterior not be dependent on the exact functional form of the prior. So a Bayesian analysis is said to be robust of the choice of prior if the inference is insensitive to different priors that match the user's beliefs. To illustrate this idea, suppose that we're interested in estimating the true IQ, theta, of a person named Joe. All right, I believe that Joe has average intelligence, and the median of my prior distribution will be 100. Okay. And also, I'm 90% confident that Joe's IQ falls between 80 and 120. All right, well, that that leads me to like a symmetric distribution. And I've got centered at 100, or symmetric about 100, I should say. And so then let's go ahead and like think about this. Well, what values would it take for us to be 90% confident? Well, for standard normal, that's negative 1.6 to 1.6 approximately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what? Let's take this 80, subtract 100. All right, and if I divide by the standard deviation, that should be that negative 1.645. If I take the 120, subtract 100 and divide by sigma, I should get 1.645, converting over to standard normal. All right, so I could construct a prior density by matching this formula with a normal density. So then I'll have a mean of mu equal to 100, standard deviation of 12.16. All right, so now I have a candidate distribution for my prior. Normal with 100 as a mean and 16 as the precision. All right, so now let's say that Joe takes 4 IQ tests because Joe loves IQ tests, and his scores are Y1, Y2, Y3, and Y4, assuming that an individual score is distributed normal theta sigma with known standard deviation of 15, then the observed mean score is going to be normal with centered at theta, and then the standard deviation is going to be sigma divided by the square root of 4 or 2. Since that's the scores that we're taking the average of the scores. With the use of normal prior, in this case, the posterior density of theta also be normal and have a standard deviation given by this formula. Okay. So here I've got a weighted average for the mean, and I've got my standard deviation. So now I can illustrate the posterior calculations for 3 hypothetical test results for Joe. So let's say that, you know, maybe Joe takes the 4 tests and boom, gets 110 as average. Let's say as another scenario, completely separate, Joe gets 125 as the average and 140 as the average, just to see like a range of possibilities of what would happen. Okay, so let's go ahead and run through the code using the formulas we've already seen. I know what my average is from you. It's 100 because of my prior belief. I've got my tau that I just computed as 12.16. Sigma is 15, and that's taking that from uh, from our knowledge of the IQ tests. And then N is the number of IQ tests that Joe took. So then standard error, standard formula, Y bar, we're setting up a vector of observed averages. And so each of these are supposed to be the average of 4 different tests. Joe really likes taking tests, I guess. And then, all right, so got an updated tau, got a weighted average for mu. And so now let's take a look at the results. All right, so this is my Y bar, the observed values, and here is my updated mean based off of these different values. Notice that these land between Y bar and 100 every single time. Okay, so now that was using normal as our prior. What if instead we used a heavy tail prior? So in this situation, let's go ahead and take T as a distribution with location mu, scale tau, and 2 degrees of freedom. So now remember, the T distribution has heavy tails, especially when we have fewer degrees of freedom. Right, since the prior median is 100 and it's a symmetric distribution, we're going to say that mu is 100. And we're going to set tau such that the probability that theta is less than 120 is equal to 95%. All right, well, I'm going to go through and just do the mathematics. Inside here, I'm going to subtract both sides by 100, and then I'm going to divide by tau, and I'm going to set that equal to 0.95. All right, so I know from 2 degrees of freedom that T is going to have to be equal to 2.9 for this to be satisfied. All right, I could look that up from a table. I could use the inverse distribution function, use quantiles. There's a bunch of different ways I could go about doing this. All right, so I know that this has to be true. All right, well then I'm just going to go do the calculation. And here I get 6.8. All right, so now let's go ahead and so that's going to be my t-scale. Because we're not using standard t distribution on this. We're adjusting the spread to fit the problem that we're working on. All right, now let's go ahead and take a grid of theta values. And let's go ahead and plot these and take a look at the 2 different priors that we have. Okay, so the dark one is the normal distributions. that we have as our prior, and the thinner line is for the T density. Now, something that's important to realize is that we have heavier tails to the far right and far left with that T density. Okay, so that means we have more spread going out. So simultaneously, the peak is peaking up higher, but also the tails are heavier on the T density. The tails being heavier means that we have more mass of the distribution is farther out. Things are spread out more on this density overall. All right, so let's summarize the posterior under the T prior by a grid approximation where I do prior times likelihood over a fine grid for each y bar. Okay, so I'm going to go through and do these calculations where I have the normal distribution, the t distribution. So here is the likelihood function. Here is the t distribution, and work this out. Do the right multiplications all the way through, and boom, I've got that. Now let's put them together. So we have y bar in two different columns. Like here's a column of y bar. Here is mu under normal. Here is mu under t distribution. And here is tau, which is constant for this one. But you'll notice that there's some variation there for the t distribution. All right, so now let's take a look. When y bar is equal to 140, let's take a look at the posteriors and go through and just plot this. All right, so check this out. Notice that the t was a little bit farther off than the normal, but they're pretty close to each other. They're not in like wildly different regions. So they're overlapping quite a bit. Now, the distribution that was more spread out, the t distribution, notice that the data had more influence on the situation. That's important to be aware of. That if I have a more spread out prior distribution, that means it's more vague, it's more uncertain of how things are going to go in the future. And then the data can speak louder on that, which we can see in this picture right here. All right, so let's go through and visualize all four together. Let's do a comparison of the priors and the posteriors. And so the dark lines are the priors, the dashed line are the posteriors, the blue corresponds to the normal prior, the red corresponds to the T prior. All right, so when I look at the solid blue, this is my normal prior. When I combine it with the 140 data, you can see that it becomes this distribution with the dashed blue. Okay, and then if I was to use a T prior that we established, then the solid red is my T prior, and then when I combine with the 140 data, now this red is the dash red is my posterior corresponding to the T prior. All right, so you'll notice that one thing that is important to be mindful of is that with the normal, now we have like less variation off of here. You can see that it's peaking up more. And we'll also notice that the distribution that had more spread let the data speak more. You can see that the peak here is closer to 140. All right. All right, so this is all I've got for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, life is short. Do math.